Hi guys, this is Mr. Tan, and today we're looking at e-business and e-marketing, and we're going to cover using digital platforms, the evaluation, of potential, and integrate social and mobile interactions. So that's what we're going to cover today. And the learning outcomes really of this session should be to discuss the origins of and the key technological concepts behind the internet, explain the current structure of the internet, understand the limitations of today's internet and potential capabilities of the internet and of the future, and discuss how the web works, describe how the internet and web features and services support e-commerce, understand the impact of mobile applications. Okay, so background to this technology, the internet. So the internet, it's an interconnected network of thousands of networks and millions of computers, and it links businesses, educational institutions, government agencies, and individuals. And the WWW, which obviously, as we all know, stands for the World Wide Web. And one of the internet's most popular services, and it provides access to billions, possibly trillions of web pages. The evolution of the internet, 1961 to the present day. So within the innovation phase between 1961 and 1974, there was the creation of the fundamental building blocks. So this was being thought of all the way back in 1961 to 1974. Institutionalization phase, 1975 to 1995. Large institutions, provide funding and legitimization. And then the commercialization phase in 1995 to the present date. Private corporations take over, expand internet backbone and local services. The key technological concepts. So the internet defined as network that uses IP addressing. So we all have an IP address, and we know this. Supports TCP/IP and provides services to users in manner similar to the telephone system. Three important concepts to think about. Packet switching, TCP/IP, communications protocol, and client service computing. So these things are key concepts that needs to be considered. The names, we've heard of DNS and URLs. The name, that's the IP address expressed in natural language. The DNS allows for the numeric IP address to be expressed in natural language, and the URL, which is basically your web name, this is the address by the web browser to identify location of the web content of the web. For example, http //www dot and so on and so forth. So the URL is your web name, DNS is the IP address, the name is the IP expressed in natural language. So client server computing, powerful personal computers, clients connected in network with one or more servers. Server platforms, common functions for the clients, storing files, software applications, access to printers and so on, and a wide variety of other functions as well for clients. The new client, obviously with the mobile platform, because we're always on the go, and mobile phones now become far more powerful than what they were 20-25 years ago. Primary internet access is now through tablets and smartphones. Tablets supplement PCs for mobile situations. There are 155 million people in the US who use the internet with tablets. Smartphones are disruptive technology. New processors and operating systems, 210 million in the US access the internet with smartphones. So and because we're always on the go, and people seem to be busier and busier in third world countries, and our mobile phones, smartphones, allows us to access and do our banking and access information, allows us to do emails and WhatsApp and communicate with people. It allows us to read books, to watch films, play games. It allows us to connect to Zoom, Facebook, Twitter, social media, so we can do everything that we want on our smartphones. The internet cloud computing model. Firms and individuals obtain, computing power and software over the internet. Three types of, services: the infrastructure as a service, IaaS; software as a service, SaaS; and platform as a service, PaaS. Public, private, and hybrid clouds. Clouds are very important. Clouds, because how are you going to store all your information? Where are you going to store all your information, and do you have access to it? In the past, companies have had their own private service, and their service where they keep and collect all the information for the company, and that is fine. But what happens if something happens to those servers? Do you have a backup? A backup somewhere? You could have a backup, but what happens to that backup? But then you can also have a backup on the cloud. And the beauty about having the information on the cloud, depending upon the permission systems, is that you can gain access on the cloud. And again, you can have all your information on there. For instance, I have a cloud computing, and I've got over 80 gigs of information on there, and I have a possibility of one trig of data that I can upload. That's 100 100 times 10 gigs of data. So and that data on the cloud I can access anywhere I want to access it from my smartphone. Again, very, very powerful, and it allows me to have all the information that I need at my fingertips. Cloud computing model, drawbacks, security risks, shifts responsibility for storage and control to providers. Agreed. Building and operating websites, infrastructure, IT support, hardware and software. That in terms of reducing the costs of. Even in terms of the drawbacks, I don't know. I tend to feel that regardless of what system you want, if people want to hack into your own personal system, then people are doing that all the time, and no system is really safe, because if people want to get into any type of system, even if they want to get into the US military, NORAD or whatever computer systems, people always find a way to hack in. So what I can say is that firms who are using the cloud computing will obviously be targeted, but at the same time they will have their own defenses, and they will progress in terms of building additional defenses as they go along, and more sophisticated defenses in terms of individuals trying to hack into their systems. So I think it exists regardless of where you are or who you are. The internet today, internet growth has boomed, without disruption, because of the client-server computing model. The Hourglass layered architecture, network technology, substrate, transport service and representation standards, and the middleware services and applications. So we're just using this technology through the internet, connecting with everyone on every single level that we need to. Even if you think of in terms of using various platforms and social media and so on and so forth, we're connecting to everything that we're doing, and we're cross-connecting as well. So now service providers are actually monitoring. We're using Gmail or Google or whatever, and they're monitoring exactly what we go and where we do, and what we're doing, so that they can offer us additional services, because they are beginning to build up profiles of us. So the computing power is just become, vastly more powerful in terms of its application. Hourglass, model of the internet, got 4 layers. You got the layer 1 network technology substrates. You got the layer 2 transport services and representation standards. You have the layer 3, middleware services, and then layer 4, with the applications. And again, you need the technology, you need the transport services and representation standards, middleware services, definitely in terms of security and and file systems, for example, and the applications we need. The applications we need to be able to carry out all the functionality that we want on and to meet our individual needs. So again, we can look at this, the Hourglass model of the internet. Tier 3 internet service providers, retail providers, in terms of lease internet access to homeowners, small businesses. Large providers in terms of Comcast, Virgin, Time Warner Cable, and smaller local providers. And in terms of services, we've got narrow band, broadband, digital subscriber line, DSL, cable internet, satellite internet, campus corporate area networks, local area networks operating within a single organization, okay, such as NYU, Microsoft Corporation, and lease internet access directly from regional and national carriers. So we're talking about here corporate network area networks. Intranets. So intranet is different to the internet. Intranet, the TCP/IP network located within a single organization for communications and processing, used by private and government organizations for internal networks, and all internet applications can be used in private intranets. So what we're talking about here is an intranet within a specific organization where people have access to all the information from the organization, obviously depending upon the security levels and the security access that you have to get it into a certain level, so that you can still work within the company, accessing all the material, uploading the material within their intranet, but still being able to use the internet applications within the company's organization's intranet. So who governs the internet? Organizations that influence the internet and monitor its operations include Internet Corporation for assigned names and numbers, ICANN. Internet Engineering Task Force, IETF. The Internet Research Task Force, IRTF. Internet Engineering Steering Group, IESG. Internet Architecture Board, IAB. Internet Society, ISOC. Internet Governance Forum, IGF. Worldwide Web Consortium, W3C. Internet Network Operations Groups, NOGs. So again, in terms of the governance of the internet and various companies like Facebook and Google and their monopolistic ventures and so on and so forth, has been a recent kind of like highlight from various governments, especially in the US, in terms of these companies' activities. Insight on society, government regulation, and surveillance of the internet. Again, look at this in terms of individually. Think of this for yourself. How is it possible for any government to control or censor the web? Is it possible? What about China? Is China doing this? Because China does restrict things. They do have more of control. Does the government have the right to censor content on the web? And how should companies deal with governments that want to censor the content? What would happen to e-commerce if the existing web split into a different web for each country? So different things to think about. So limitations of the current internet, bandwidth limitations, slow peak hour services, quality of service limitations, latency, network architecture limitations, identical requests are processed individually, and wide internet, copper and expensive fiber optic cables. So Internet2 Project, consortium of about 450 institutions collaborating to facilitate revolutionary internet technologies, and the primary goals are to provide leading edge, very high speed network for national research community, environment for developing and testing new technologies, and distributed and collaborative computing environments for sciences, health, arts, and humanity initiatives. So the first mile and the last mile. Genie initiative, initiated by NSF, transforming to community governance. Virtual lab for developing new core functionality for internet. And the most significant private initiatives in terms of fiber optic trunk line bandwidth, first mile, and wireless internet services for the last mile. When the internet was first coming out in the 1996 to 2000, the biggest problem was the speed of the internet and the downloads and the uploads and the web pages being uploaded to your computers. And the biggest problem again was the speed, and the speed was limited by the data going down the landlines and the lines which it had to travel down to get to the end consumer. And then one faster way to develop this was to use fiber optics, and fiber optics had a faster bandwidth in terms of allowing data to pass through. And so such companies as cont'd Telecommunications, fiber optic company in the 2000, were big companies who were developing the fiber optics within the UK. And then the last mile in terms of the wireless internet services, in terms of internet for the last mile. Again, the internet was suffering also from the bandwidth in terms of how much data they could allow to pass through. Again, if you were trying to watch a film being watched, then you would have to wait for the film to upload and watch that part that had been uploaded. It wouldn't be a constant streaming at that time. So fiber optics and bandwidth explosion in the first mile. First mile, backbone internet services that carry bulk traffic over long distances. Fiber optic cables, hundreds of glass strands that use light to transmit data. Faster speeds and greater bandwidth, thinner, lighter cables, less interference, better data security. So again, in the first mile, it was all about fiber optics in terms of how to transfer high speeds and high quantities of data securely to get to individual people in their homes. So substantial investments in fiber optics by telecommunication firms in the last decade. And we're talking about firms like as I said, mentioned before, cont'd Telecommunications, fiber optics companies, and there was a few other companies as well. Last mile, mobile internet access, last mile from internet backbone to user computer, smartphone, and so on. Two basic types of wireless internet access. Telephone based, mobile phones, smartphones, computer network based, wireless, local area network based. Again, wireless local area network, WLAN, based internet access, Wi-Fi, high speed, fixed broadband, wireless LAN, wireless access points, and limited range but expensive. You have the WiMAX, Bluetooth, internet access drones, Google, Facebook initiatives. So again, the wireless has really taken off in the last mile in terms of getting fast, high-speed data to all us consumers who are using the internet. So Wi-Fi networks. We look at the Wi-Fi's access points in terms of the internet, broadband connection to internet, smartphones and tablets and the computer, desktop as well as laptops. The future for the internet, latency solutions, serve, differentiated quality of service. We have guaranteed service levels and lower error rates. We have declining costs because things becoming more efficient, and the whole world is now using this. The Internet of Things, LOT, objects connected via sensors, RFID to the internet, smart things, interoperability issues and standards, security and privacy concerns. So the web, between 1989 and 1991, the web was invented. Tim Berners-Lee at CERN, CRN, and here they came up with the catchphrases that we all know today is HTML, HTTP, the web server, the web browser. In 1993, Mosaic web browser, Anderson and others at NCSA. It runs on Windows, Macintosh, and Unix systems. Unix systems were very big in organizations and companies back in the 1985 to 1990s. And even a lot of companies today still run on old Unix systems and have outdated systems in place. And some companies are now trying to change from the Unix systems to more state-of-the-art and up-to-date systems today. But some companies are still using Unix systems, which are way outdated. 1994, Netscape Navigator, first commercial web browser, and 1995, Microsoft Internet Explorer. Web service and web clients. Web server software enables a computer to deliver web pages to clients on a network that requests this service by sending an HTTP request. Basic capabilities, security services, FTP, search engine, data capture. When we're talking about the web server, this may refer to either the web server software or physical server, and specialized service, database service and service, and so on. And when we're looking at the web client, we're really saying any computing device attached to the internet that is capable of making HTTP requests and displaying HTML pages. Web browsers, primary purpose of a web browser is to display web pages, but may include added features like Google Chrome, 51% of desktop market, 52% of mobile market, Internet Explorer, 30% of desktop, 2% of mobile, Firefox, 8% of desktop, 1% of mobile, Apple Safari, 4.5% desktop, 28% mobile. So we can see the different percentages from different web browsers. The internet and web features. So features on which foundations of e-commerce are built in terms of communication tools, definitely communication tools, search engines, downloadable and streaming media, Web 2 applications and services, virtual reality and augmented reality, which is becoming more and more integrated in terms of what we're doing to give a better experience of what we're doing. Intelligent personal assistants, communication tools including emails, messaging applications, instant messaging, online message boards, internet telephony, VoIP, video conferencing, video chatting, and telepresence. Search engines. What they do, they identify the web pages that match queries based on one or more techniques in terms of keyword indexes and page rankings. So, search engines look and they have these spiders that search your particular websites for keywords that customers may, search on. So if a customer was trying to look for a curtain pole, they might type in curtain pole in the search engine, and then the spiders will then obviously link and rank all those companies that have meta tags built in within their web pages to bring up those web pages for the end consumer. And then you also have page rankings as well. And also serve as shopping tools, advertising vehicles, and tools within e-commerce websites. And 3 top providers include Google, Bing, and Yahoo. So how does Google work? Here we have it here from 1 all the way down to 6, and then from the indexing the web, and then in terms of processing a search query again from 1 to 5. Have a look at this in your own time. Downloadable and streaming media. So downloads, growth in broadband connections enables large media file downloads, which is important if you want to watch films, if you want to download films, store films, and if you want to do it fast, if you don't want it to take hours, because we don't have hours for things to be done. Streaming technologies enables music, video and other large files to be sent to users in chunks that the file can play uninterrupted. Podcasting, and an explosion in online video viewing. Web 2 features and services. So we have Web 1. Now we're thinking about Web 2. We're thinking about online social networks, services that support communication among networks of friends and peers, blogs, personal web page and chronological entries. Enables web page publishing with no knowledge of HTML. Exactly. You can now create websites using various softwares and shared softwares as well, even like softwares like Wix.com, that you can create websites very, very easily without having to know HTML coding. Wikis enables documents to be written collectively and collaboratively, and you have Wikipedia. Virtual reality and augmented reality. Virtual reality, immersing users with virtual world, typically uses head-mounted displays, HMD, Rift, Vive, PlayStation, VR, and augmented reality, overlaying virtual objects over the real world via mobile devices or HMDs, like Pokemon Go. And, virtual reality is becoming more and more sophisticated. And as we move on, and as the data streaming services include their speed and their bandwidth, and as we have more sophistications in terms of the software applications linked to the hardware, then we're going to get greater degrees of augmented technology overlaid on the real world. So we better see this through headsets, through maybe glasses, specialized glasses on our mobiles, and this is going to be part of everyday life to access and gain information. Intelligent personal assistants, here we're talking about computer search engines using natural language, conversational interface, verbal commands, situational awareness, and can handle requests for appointments in terms of flights, routes, events, scheduling, and more, such as Apple's Siri, Google Now, and Google Assistant. So it's a classroom discussion here. So think about this individually, and ask yourself the question: what are intelligent assistants, and why are they so popular? Do you have conversational AI assistants? If so, what do you have them for? What are the benefits of these assistants? What are the disadvantages? Are there any benefits, disadvantages to the proprietary nature of these assistants, and chatbots? So now we look at mobile apps. The use of mobile apps, we all know, has exploded. Have become, most popular entertainment media, always present shopping tool. Almost all top 100 brands have shopping app platforms like iPhone, iPad, iOS, Android, Windows Phone, app marketplaces in terms of Google Play, Apple's App Store, Windows Phone Marketplace, and the mobile phone, in terms of what the mobile phone can do now, in terms of what the mobile phone could do when it first came out, is just it's just a million miles apart. When the first mobile phones came out, it was all about just making a telephone call. Being able to make a telephone call without having to use a payphone or a landline. But now the mobile phone has really, become part of our way of life in terms of, everything that we can do in it. We can bank on mobile phones. We can watch films. We can read books. We can talk to, various people via applications like Zoom, like WhatsApp, like Microsoft Teams. we can do virtually anything and everything that we need to do on this now. We can shop, we can buy, we can transfer money, we can transfer money to different people, we can review our banking, and so we can almost do most things that we want to do in it, and I'm sure it's going to expand even more. Okay, so the scope of social, CRM, customer relationship management across business functions. So social customers insights, the 5 M's. Here we're talking about marketing, sales, service and support, innovation, collaboration, and customer experience. So marketing, social marketing insights, rapid social marketing response, social campaign tracking, social event management. In terms of sales, social sales insights, rapid social sales response, and proactive social lead generation. Service and support, we're talking about social support insights, rapid social response, peer-to-peer unpaid armies, innovation insights, crowded sources, R&D, collaboration, we're talking about collaboration insights, enterprise collaboration, and extended collaboration. And then the customer experience, seamless customer experience, VIP experience. So here we looked at the scope of social CRM, customer relationship management across business functions. CRM applications, Salesforce automation, customer service management, managing the sales process, campaign management and analysis. CRM data, this includes, personal and profile data, contact details, preferences of those people, transaction data in terms of their sales history, and communication data, campaign history, research, feedback, support queries, and contact reports, business to business. So CRM, and we talked about CRM, customer relationship management, and how you must take into consideration your databases and your reports to be able to review your customer relationship management, build in databases, and target at different people at different stages to maximize your sales. But in order to do that, you need CRM, you need customer relationship management data systems incorporated into your business. eCRM, customer relationship management benefits in terms of customer development, managing email list quality, implementing email marketing, data mining, personalization and customization, and customer service quality and multi-channel experience. Again, again coming back to the point that we need, you need the customer relationship management built in, the organizational structure built in, so you can collate the different fields of the different people at different stages, and then you are able to manipulate those fields by running reports to data mine, and also to provide customer service quality and multi-channel experience. So it comes back down to how you build your organization and your CRM systems incorporated into your business at the time that you launch. So, for classic marketing activities, for customer relationship management, in terms of customer extension, customer selection, customer acquisition, and customer retention. And again, in each of these, in terms of customer selection, who do we want to target? What is their value? What is their life cycle? And where do we reach them? Customer acquisition, target the right segments, minimize acquisition costs, optimize service quality, and use the right channels. Customer retention, here we're talking about understanding individual needs, relevant offers for continued usage on online services, maximize sales service quality, use the right channels. And customer extension, sense and response, cross-selling and upselling, optimize service quality, use the right channels. But again, I have to say to you, all this comes back down to how do you build your systems and your processes in place within your organization to make sure that you can collect the data. Otherwise, you can't do any of this. So you must think about this before you launch your site in terms of how you're going to collect the data, the fields that you have, the reports that you're going to try to run at these different stages. This gives you an overview, but then you must do the detail, and the devil is in the detail in terms of building that CRM system. And unless you have the right CRM system, you're not going to be able to do these things. You're just not going to be able to do it. So the 5 I's, identification, can the customer be recognized for different channel contacts? Individualization, can communications and products be tailored? Interaction, are communications two-way? Integration, is there a 360 degree view of the customer? Integrity, is the relationship built on trust? Permission marketing, key concepts here, not interruption marketing, not spam, requires an opt-in online to email, it allows you to opt out, and it's about learning more about your customer. And also its initial and continual relationship is based on incentives. Okay, so here we can see a system here in terms of drive traffic, and even in the system too, you can see incentives and business to profile. Again, you can see the systems that's been brought in. You can see the system here, is building up a database of a specific customer, and so on and so forth, and building up profiles and to be able to run reports. But this again must be built in. So this is how you must build in CRM systems. Some of an effective process of permission-based online relationship building, but again linked to CRM principles as well. Matrix of customer touch points for collecting and updating customer email contacts and profile information. Again, you have new customers and existing customers, and you have offline touch and online. And again, for online, for new customers, online incentives such as prize draws or virtual marketing or e-letter, opt into the site. And we're talking about offline in terms of new customers, direct mail, perhaps driving visitors to web, trade shows or conferences, paper responses to traditional direct mail communication. If we're talking about existing customers and online, we're talking about capture email when customer first registers or purchases online, or e-letter and other methods given on left. If we're talking about existing customers and offline, then we're talking about paper order forms, sales reps face to face, contact centers by phone, and point of sale for retailers. But all this information is needed and necessary. Price list cruises campaign Facebook page. Here we can see a campaign here, the travel bucket list contest. So options for mass customization and personalization using the internet. From low to high, we're talking about the whole market, a broadcast, tailor content to key segments from B and C one-to-one. So we're really talking about maybe your segmentation, targeting and positioning strategy here. Segmentation, let's segment the whole market up in terms of behavioralistic segmentation, psychographic segmentation, demographic, geographic segmentation, and then say, well, who do we really want to target in these segments? And then from those targets, how are we going to personalize and positioning ourselves, and how we're going to contact these people by one-to-one personalization. Factors affecting the customer satisfaction and loyalty. These factors include, the rational evaluation, the emotional connection, the promised experience, e-communications targeting, web targeting, touch strategy, and these two lead into the multi-channel customer experience and the multi-channel customer relevance. Which leads into the customer satisfaction gap, and loyalty drivers to the loyalty gap. Alternative methods for reviewing customer feedback. Again, you have the customer in the middle, and you have feedback at the top, satisfaction, then feedback, and then behavior data. And behavior data will lead to key performance indicators, and satisfaction will lead to proactive key success factors. Big data. Big data is a term used to describe analysis techniques and systems which exploit the larger volumes of data that are now available for marketeers. The opportunity and challenge of big data for marketing is often described using 3 dimensions or vectors below. data velocity, data volume, and data variety. So let's have a look at this. Summary of the three main dimensions of big data. So we talked about data velocity, data volume, and data variety. And here we can see these data variety, for instance, mobiles, unstructured web, audio, database, and linking back into the batch and table. Data volume in terms of megabytes, data velocity in terms of batch. So what do we cover today? So today we have covered, about using digital platforms, evaluating the potential, and integrate social and mobile interactions. I mean, from when it first came out in the 1990s, it was very slow, it was very cumbersome, and it was very difficult to see how it was going to progress. But then we saw the event of companies really investing in it. We saw the UK government investing, giving laptops out free of charge to people in schools. We saw the event of companies in the early 2000s of FiberNet and Colt Telecommunications developing fiber optics for the UK. And then we saw the increase over the years in 2010, the bandwidths increasing with the different internet and mobile applications. And we've seen the event of different applications that are available, and future events and future applications and services that are going to be available. And it is immense. And you have to get to know and use this and be prepared to change and learn new technologies like virtuality, like augmented technology. You must get to grips with all these things, and must use the systems that are out there. There's no point trying to reinvent it yourself, because so many organizations have invented so much. You can kind of like put all these things together for yourself. So I hope this has helped, and thank you today from Mr. Tan.